What's up, guys? It's Chris Sarai bringing you another edition of the Car Concierge Show, the show that helps with the buying, selling, maintaining, and repairing of your vehicle. On today's show, we're going to check out a story about Tesla's Robotaxi rollout and how it's having continuous problems and its first accident. Next up, we're going to, of course, check out the latest possible drastic recall that is out, and this one is for Nissan. And last but not least, we're going to talk about a couple of states that are deciding that they're still going to go ahead with a ban on gas-powered vehicles. All right, let's jump straight into it. So, as you know, I am the EV hater, so we're always going to have stories about EVs. We love and hate EVs over here, so it's always going to be a continuous story because they're the hottest thing, and everybody's talking about how, you know, we should be moving to electric vehicles, away from gas-powered vehicles because gas-powered vehicles are so dangerous. But we continue to point out the continuous problems that EV vehicles are having and the fact that the United States in particular is still not in a position to have the infrastructure to move to a predominantly EV situation. So first up, we're going to check out the story about the Tesla Robotaxi rollout and how it continues to have little problems, but this is its first accident. So let's check this out. What we're going to do is we're going to check out this guy. He calls himself Dirty Tesla. So he does a lot of stories about Tesla. He's been studying the Tesla Robotaxi. He's been out at Austin, Texas, going on multiple rides in the Robotaxi to do stories and write reviews. And he tells the story of his Robotaxi getting into the first recorded accident. So let's check this out real quick. What the hell? So this is, you see, he did a whole story, but we're just going to check out what he's talking about the accident.
That the overall situation that was caused by this Robotaxi was not that big of a deal. Now, next up, this scenario, in my opinion, was a little bit worse, and I posted a video of the event to X already, so it is out there in the public, but I didn't really realize at the time the full extent of what had happened in this scenario. So I went to a place called Home Slice Pizza, and the reason I went there is there can be parking of vehicles on both sides of where you need to drive through, and if people are parking in both of those sides, squeezing through is really tight and hard to get to. On top of that, even if nobody is parked there, the Robotaxi, for whatever reason, decided that it wanted to go really close to this short wall on the left side of the car. And no big deal, you know, some people say, hey, it's a computer. The difference between, you know, a millimeter and an inch is kind of meaningless when it's a computer doing the calculations. And if, you know, you think that, that's fine. But from a human perspective, it was pretty close to the wall and it was unnecessary. There was plenty of room to the right where the car could have given a little more of a gap. And so I thought this was interesting, and I went to that same location a couple of times. Well, earlier in the day, in the same park.
So shout out to him first off. So he decides that he's going to take this Tesla Robotaxi to a place where it would have problems driving through different scenarios, different areas. So he kind of set up the Robotaxi to kind of fail. So that's going to, of course, test all its parameters, test all its cameras to see what it would do in certain situations. So shout out to him for doing this correctly.
Parking lot where the incident I'm about to talk about took place, the Robotaxi was actually getting farther away from that wall. And so I said, wow, this looks like, you know, I had posted on X that it was getting really close to this wall. It looks like either just by chance or maybe Tesla fixed something to make it so the Robotaxi doesn't go so close. Oh, no, look. Yeah, seems like they fixed it. So that night I was taking randos who were DMing me on X for Robotaxi rides, and I said, hey, let's go to Home Slice and see if it gets close to that wall again and kind of prove my, you know, thesis here that maybe they changed something. And when we arrived this time, there were cars parked on both sides of this narrow area you needed to drive through. Now, as we pulled up from the inside of the car, I was like, whoa, this is really tough. I don't know if it's going to be able to squeeze through here or what's going to happen. Luckily, Robotaxi does have a reversibility, so I thought that might pop up. But as we got really close to the car parked on the left, the Robotaxi put itself in park and said, all right, you're here, get out. And I said, okay, well, we're at our destination, so let's hop out and watch this from the outside. So at that point, I'm watching and a Robotaxi starts to go, and for whatever reason, it turns left towards the parked car, and it kind of slows down, and then it kind of starts to go again, and then the hazard lights come on the vehicle. And I go, oh, I think the safety operator stopped it just in time. It didn't touch it.
Didn't touch.
I'm wondering if he stopped it though.
Yeah, that's what I feel. I should have been there.
The bumper of the Model Y was this close to that other vehicle, but it didn't touch. And I said, hey, you know what? At least the thing didn't touch. Maybe the vehicle stopped itself, but my guess, although I couldn't see for sure, was that the safety passenger pushed some button on the screen and made the vehicle stop. Well, at the same time, the owner of that parked vehicle was outside, and he comes up and he's checking it out, and he goes, is this your car? And I go, no, it's Tesla's. And he goes, yeah, I know it's a Tesla, but is it yours? And I explained, no, it's a Robotaxi. It's Tesla owns it. And he immediately understood, oh, okay, this is Tesla's vehicle. They own it. Tesla owns it.
Oh, it's Tesla.
It's Tesla. Tesla owns it, yeah. Yeah, it didn't touch, right?
Yeah, they hit my car.
It touched?
Yeah.
Yeah, it hit my car.
No way.
No, I did. Yeah, they do.
Let me see.
Look.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah, they do.
oh, I didn't think it
don't
touched.
see
I was
that.
recording a video. It looked like it stopped right at the last second there.
It didn't touch.
I thought, like, I swear it did not touch because keep in mind, I'm looking at the bumper of the Model Y next to that parked vehicle. Well, when you look closer, you could see that the tire of the Model Y did touch the parked vehicle. And at the time, in the moment, because it's dark out, the tire is black, I didn't see it. And I thought, man, well, I didn't see it touch, but, you know, oh, well, this is not my vehicle. So I guess that, you know, whatever he's seeing, he sees that the vehicle touched. But looking back in retrospect, it is obvious that the tire of the Tesla Model Y did touch that other vehicle. So that was kind of the worst of what happened. A little bit after that, the Tesla is still sitting there. I don't know what's happening. I'm guessing the safety guy is talking back to the remote people who are watching over from California. And eventually, the safety passenger gets out of the Tesla, gets into the driver's seat, and he drives away after the other vehicle had left. Now,
So, all right, okay. So what we're saying is that there's a person sitting in the Tesla with you while it's robotaxiing. Okay, so which I can understand for safety precautions. You want to keep somebody in there to monitor the situation. And this is like a test rollout. So it's not a situation where they're just going all willy-nilly and just putting these robotaxis out there with nobody with any ability to stop, control, or, you know, take care of the situation if something goes wrong with the robotaxi. So that's a good idea. But yeah, as a collision center guy, it definitely hit that car. So boy, gonna definitely have to have a little bit of repair done, get that door painted, probably blend to the fender, depending on where it is, because it looked pretty close to the fender. You know, so that's gonna cost him a pretty penny. But I didn't know that there was somebody always sitting in the car as you're driving around in these new taxi testings that they're doing in Texas. That's new info.
I can spin some good news out of this if you want. Both of these scenarios I encountered were very low speed, and I would say they didn't put any humans into danger. But I've said it in the past, as Tesla continues to roll this out, it should get to a point where mistakes are very difficult for any individual like me to find. I shouldn't be able to go on 50 robotaxi rides over 260 whatever miles and find one or two mistakes. It should be all of those drives with really nothing happening. Now, I will point out on the other side of that, there were no pedestrians in danger or cyclists or anything like that. So any of the issues that I did see were more just weirdness in the way it was behaving and driving rather than outright being dangerous or something like that. Now, most of the robotaxis I requested came really quickly to pick me up, usually less than 10 minutes, but being out in Austin this week waiting around in the hot Texas sun for a Tesla robotaxi to come pick me up reminded me of something. The sun will age your skin if you don't take care of it. Guys, listen up. Having better skin does not need to be complicated. Today's sponsor, Geology, is changing the game. They're a 41-time award-winning skincare.
I appreciate the skincare help, but we're going to stick with Tej Hanley. All right, so I mean, what can we say? We can expect that these robotaxis are going to have some problems. I'm not going to agree with Dirty Tesla. Dirty Tesla, I'm definitely going to subscribe, continue to watch him, because he's definitely going to be able to give me some good content for, you know, my desire to hate on EVs. Now, this wasn't a big accident, and Dirty Tesla kind of set the vehicle up to some degree to get in an accident, creating situations where there's going to be tight squeezing. And I don't agree with the statement that out of all of the rides that he's taken, that, you know, they should all be perfect. But, you know, for this kind of system to work, you'd almost have to make sure it's as close to perfect as possible, because you're putting people's lives in danger to some degree, because there's going to be people in these vehicles and they're going to have no control of what happens with that vehicle, and it's going to be all about that vehicle. So I kind of agree and disagree that, you know, it's going to be perfection. He's talking about perfection, and, you know, there's rarely perfection in anything, is my idea. So, you know, and of course, this is the good thing about it is that this is testing. They're still testing this out. They're going about it, testing it correctly, I guess. Now, I didn't agree with the testing beforehand, specifically because, you know, we have Waymo to go off of, and Waymo was doing, like, you know, 6 months of rigorous testing before they even put their vehicles on the street. And these vehicles are on the street. Now, mind you, I did not know that they were co-piloted with, you know, humans, which is ever so a great idea, because, you know, if there's somebody there to assist, that's always a good idea. But, you know, I just don't believe that we're ready for it. I mean, I know the Waymos are out there, and I've talked to several people who've used Waymos, and they say it goes well, and there's no problems. And then until you have, you know, a protest, and since people are not in them, they're just getting attacked by protesters, and it's a horrible situation for everybody, because of course Waymo loses money, and, you know, it's a bad look on whatever city that this is going on. But when it comes to the Robotaxis and the EVs of the world, I just think that we're moving way too fast. I think that, you know, we are desiring to get to a state of the Jetsons, and we haven't built the infrastructure to do so. And, you know, I could be wrong, but I just believe that you cannot. I still believe that when it comes to EV vehicles, the whole structure of it, you have to be a person of some sort of means to make it work correctly. Now, mind you, I know there's fairly cheap EVs. I know that people are out there buying EVs and driving them. I know there's a Nissan Versus out there. I met a great gentleman. He had a Honda Clarity, which was really nice. I really liked it, and he really loved it. Said that, you know, he just didn't use gas anymore. And these are all great things, and I'm glad for the advancement of the future. But what I'm gonna always continue to say is, you just can't just disregard what we've always used and what we've always been about. And we've always, you know, driven these gas-powered vehicles, and they've been great for us. So to just discard them because of these electric vehicles that a lot of people can't afford, a lot of people don't have infrastructure to drive a lot, and they limit you on distances you can go and all these other type of things, that we're just not ready to move forward with an EV world. Okay, so let's keep going. Next up, we're going to talk about, of course, a recall. We always got to jump in the latest recalls that we see, and Nissan has come out with a new recall that is about engine failure, and that's just indescribable. Let's check it out.
If you own a Nissan, this is a video you can't afford to miss. Over 480,000 vehicles have been recalled across the US and Canada due to a serious engine defect that could lead to complete engine failure while driving. Let's break down what's happening, which vehicles are affected, and what Nissan is doing about it. The recall impacts approximately 443,899 vehicles in the United States and around 37,837 in Canada, all manufactured between the 2019 and 2024 model years. The issue stems from a potential defect in the engine bearings, a critical component.
Now, the fact that it states that this goes back to 2019 to 2024 tells you that there was no really good notification of this problem until these vehicles got worn down to some degree over a course of a couple of years. Because with engines, as long as they're running correctly and there's no significant noises that you hear, and as you know, the you changing out the oils correctly and all those type of things, the engine's going to run pretty smoothly. But if there's a problem like a breakdown like this, you know, and you don't see it up front, it's going to take, of course, a couple years of the vehicle being driven before a notification of the problem will pop up.
Responsible for smooth engine operation. If these bearings degrade or fail, it can lead to engine damage, loss of power, and even a full engine shutdown while on the road. The affected models include the Nissan Rogue from 2021 to 2024, the Nissan Altima from 2019 to 2020, the Infiniti QX50 from 2019 to 2022, and the Infiniti QX55 from 2022. All of these vehicles are equipped with Nissan's variable compression turbo engines, either the 1.5-liter 3-cylinder or the 2.0-liter 4-cylinder. The problem arises from a manufacturing defect in the engine bearings. Over time, this flaw may cause the bearings to wear down prematurely, leading to internal engine damage. Warning signs include unusual engine noises, rough idling, loss of performance, dashboard warning lights, or error messages. While engine failure isn't expected to happen instantly, the defect can progressively worsen if not addressed, potentially putting drivers at risk. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, approximately 1.2% of the recalled vehicles are estimated to actually contain the defective parts. While that may sound like a small percentage, when applied to nearly 500,000 cars, it's a major safety and repair issue that Nissan is not taking lightly. So, what is Nissan doing about it? Starting in mid-July 2025, dealers will be notified of the recall process. Vehicle owners will receive official recall letters by the end of August. If your vehicle is affected, you'll be asked to bring it to a dealership for inspection. During the inspection, technicians will remove the oil pan and check for any metal debris. If debris is found, this is a sign of internal engine damage, and the entire engine will be replaced at no cost to the owner.
This is a pretty common recall or a common engine problem that they find in these VCT engines. I've had this with more cars than, let's see, I know it was in a Ford F-150, Ford Minute. There's several cars have had this kind of problem where it comes to a point where, you know, and who I feel, well, let's finish this video. I'll talk about it.
If no debris is detected, the solution depends on the type of engine your vehicle has. For 1.5-liter engines, technicians will replace the oil pan gasket, change the engine oil, and update the engine control software. For 2.0-liter engines, they'll replace the engine oil only. Again, all repairs and replacements will be free of charge. In the meantime, Nissan urges owners not to wait if they notice symptoms. If your engine starts making unusual noises, runs roughly, or shows any dashboard warnings, schedule a service appointment right away, even if you haven't received the recall letter yet. You can also check if your vehicle is part of this recall by visiting the official Nissan or Infiniti recall lookup websites, or by entering your vehicle identification number, your VIN, on the NHTSA's website. This recall is a major moment for Nissan and its customers, highlighting the critical importance of engine quality and manufacturing oversight. If you or someone you know drives one of the affected models, now is the time to act. Stay safe, stay informed, and don't ignore the warning signs. Nissan is stepping up to fix the problem.
Alright, so, and yeah, this is a fairly common recall. I've seen this in a couple of Fords, a couple of Dodges, to the point where they bring you in, they check and see if there's metal shavings inside your oil pan. If they find metal shavings, then they'll change out either your short block or your long block, depending on what kind of vehicle it is, Or if they don't, they'll just change it out with a heavier oil, and then change, of course, your oil pan gasket, and in some cases your engine gasket. Okay, and my biggest problem with these type of things, and this recall in particular, is because the people who bought their vehicles, who have the 2019s, maybe even the 2020s, they've reached a point in their drivability of their vehicle, specifically with the warranty, that they're probably past their basic warranty, probably past their powertrain warranty, to the point where if they had this problem and they started having this problem, then they didn't think that it was going to be related to any recall. So they already went ahead and got some stuff fixed. And I've seen this several times over, to the point where people start having these problems that will be later fixed with recalls, and they've already paid somebody to repair these, or use some off-brand warranty or anything like that to pay to get these repairs done. And that's the biggest problem, is that some of these recalls come out way too late for some individuals, to the point where they've already got the problem fixed. They're going to have some major problem getting reimbursement from the automaker or whoever, because they've already gotten it done. So you got to send in receipts, you got to prove that you got the repair done, and all this horrible process of trying to get your money recouped. And that's the biggest problem when I have with these recalls. There are always going to be recalls. I always believe that there's going to be more recalls coming out nowadays, because there's just a massive lack in research and development, because of the desire to get these cars out so quickly to the masses, so that people will buy them, so they'll start to make more money, because automakers have been losing for so long. Okay? Alright, so last but not least, we're going to go back into our EV hating mode. And we're going to visit a young gentleman who was telling us the story about how 13 states are deciding that they're going to outlaw gas-powered vehicles. Crazy, huh? And I watched a little bit of this, so he does get into a little conspiracy-ish, but I like it. Let's check it out.
This one's gonna really irritate some people. Just came across this article, 8 states moving to outlaw gas-powered cars, and the ban is coming fast. And guess what? Did a little bit of research, and it's actually 13 states. How many of you think they're taking this way too far? Some crazy breaking news that definitely affects you coming right up. Hey guys, my name is Cohen here at Riverside Homestead, and if you're brand new here, welcome. And if you guys are into prepping tips, now let's dive right in. This article right here that I just got only says 8 states, but I'm actually going to list off 13 states. Folks, I don't drive an electric vehicle, and the fact that these states are moving to outlaw gas-powered vehicles, do you know what that means? Let me know down in the comments how this makes you feel, and let me get into this article and get you guys some information. 8 states moving to outlaw gas-powered cars, and the ban is coming fast. Electric vehicles are the future of the automotive industry, and some states are going so far as to ban gas-powered vehicles. Several states are aiming to phase out gas cars in the next few years, putting an emphasis on EVs. EV car sales reached 17 million globally in 2024, with some of the biggest manufacturers being Tesla, BYD, and Volkswagen. Forecasts for 2025 anticipate sales to exceed 20 million worldwide. Now, to me, doesn't seem like a very big number, especially to make the big move to ban gas-powered vehicles, unless there's that many high-up people that are wrapped up in the financial end of EVs. Maybe they've got tons of money invested. Well, when you're a powerful person with a lot of money and you can move states to actually ban gas-powered vehicles, kind of like requiring people to take something, maybe in the event of a pandemic. I don't know. Looks like a big money maker if you can control the market like that. Just thinking out loud. You guys might not agree with me, but this is really happening. So let's continue on this. While the EV industry is on an upward progression, some major car makers continue to invest in gas-powered vehicles. General Motors recently announced plans to support production of the 6th generation of GM's V8 engines, abandoning the original plan to pump $300 million into electric vehicle motor production. I bet you that has a lot to do with the recent president that was elected. A lot of people switching plans. And Tesla has experienced slower sales this year due to controversy with its CEO, Elon Musk. Now, this is a short article, so we'll just bump right through this, and then I want to give you guys an accurate list of what states are on the hit list, because you got a pretty good chance it's your state. Can you guys imagine having to garage your gas-powered vehicle? Yeah, just the idea of this is insane. Those vehicles may not be sold in California over the next decade. However, California has adopted the Advanced Clean Car 2 rule, which aims to eliminate all non-electric vehicle car sales by 2035. Of course, California, right, guys? And California.
Now, we've already seen that they shot that down, but, you know, just to stick with what old boy's saying is that even California, with all its rules and its desire to keep a clean air and all these other type of things, it's just California for sure, with the size and some particular areas, it's just not even set up in itself to go completely electric. So it's just going to be hard, and that's why, and like he said, you know, with the current sitting president, you know, he doesn't believe in this either, and doesn't have a desire for us to go completely EV either. So that's why a lot of companies like GM and all these other companies will be changing suit to fit the narrative.
Is only leading the charge. In this particular article, and I've got more information I dug up, 7 other states including Delaware, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, Rhode Island, and Washington have followed suit. And like I said, that's 8, but I actually tallied up 13. According to MoneyWise, the rules don't ban the sale of used vehicles. Only new gas-powered vehicles will no longer be available for sale past that date. Interesting. Of course, that's always the first step. You guys have noticed how things work. It's always in a slow progression. They pinch off a little bit, and then they pinch off a little bit more. But if they can get that to pass, then they can get the next agenda to pass. According to the Environmental Protection Agencies, the average passenger vehicle emits about 400 grams of CO2 per mile. The typical passenger vehicle emits about 4.6 metric tons of CO2 per year. So let's put this in perspective. 4.6 metric tons of CO2 per year for a gas-powered vehicle. Now check this out. When Billy G or Jeff Bezos jumps on their private jet, you want to know how many metric tons of CO2 is emitted? So these guys jump on their private jets, one trip, 50 tons, 4.6 tons on a gas-powered vehicle for an entire year. What do you think's really going on here? Stepping on the little guy? Because I guarantee you, they're still going to be jumping on the jets. Coming in for a landing on this article, under the Advanced Clean Car 2 rules, the EPA estimates electric vehicle sales could make up 56% of all passenger vehicles by 2032. Now, we aren't even touching on the subject of how much emissions is created and everything else just by making these batteries and all that goes into that. You guys can throw that down in the comments if you know. They're saying this is a lofty goal, considering EVs only make up about 7.6% of car sales in 2023. Though the number of EV car sales continue to grow in the US, the momentum slowed by the end of 2024, increasing by just 10% compared to 40% in 2023. I think we all know why, and that's a report coming from the International Energy Agency. Now, one of the biggest EV manufacturers is Tesla. Though the company faced a brand crisis in 2025, as it's strongly linked to Musk. And Tesla dealerships were subject of protest following Musk's role in the Department of Government Efficiency, with many experiencing vandalism. Now, I'd run down through some of these articles, but I can bet that you guys know how aggravated people are. Now, just a quick little search came up with more current data, and in fact, these are the 13 states that come up in my search that are states that have announced plans to ban the sales of new gasoline-powered vehicles. That's Delaware, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, Washington, D.C., and Virginia. So,
wait, California wasn't on that list, bro. And now I know maybe the story is recent enough that it had to remove California because of their removal of the statement of banning at 2035. But yeah, that list didn't have California on it.
Some of you may be thinking right now, I might live in the wrong state. Now, is there some kickback? Yeah, there's some kickback. Check this out. Senate votes to block California ban on gasoline-fueled cars. And this comes from Bloomberg. They're saying that there was a 51-44 vote Thursday, and this is all new in the news. Rollbacks on Environmental Protection Agency waiver issued under former President Joe Biden, allowing California to enact emission standards even stricter than the U.S. government's requirements to increase sales of electric and other zero-emission vehicles. Now, I don't know if you guys like Gavin Newsom or not, but you guys can tell me down in the comments what you think their agenda is. Like, is this just some big money-making scheme, or does it really have to do with reducing emissions? Doesn't make a lot of sense when they all have private jets and it emits what over 100 gas cars emit in 1 year with just one flight. And I think with the new presidency, you guys have been seeing the reduction in all of the electric car sales. Right here you can see Tesla sales have been shrinking in California. And honestly, I think that they thought that this was such a big push. A lot of big investors probably went in onto this thing. And then under new leadership, we see the tides change. Here's another one regarding California, because they're usually the leader in this thing. Lawsuits loom as California challenges Senate's block on 2035 gas car sales ban. And there you can see big old fancy Gavin Newsom and Attorney General Rob Bonta announcing plans. In quotes, it says, "Pollution is a subsidy. It's an act of theft against our kids and grandkids. It's not complicable. It's not complicated," said the governor in Sacramento on Thursday. What this act did was allow polluters and pollute more, impacting you and impacting all of us. Now, yeah, big talk coming from someone that's probably not going to stop getting on to the private jets and going quickly where he needs to go, or preventing him from buying the next $9.1 million home where I still yet do not see one solar panel. Yeah, anyway, wanted you guys to know that this is coming down the pipe and tell me what you guys think. Now, real quick, for any of you guys that have seen those interesting grids in the sky, watch this video right up here. Got a very interesting twist on that. Some crazy information they don't want you to know. And if you guys missed this video down here, crazy stuff that's in your home and food that you're eating, which may be the reason why some people are getting cancer a few years down the road. Again, share this information out if you guys found it valuable and informative. Hit the like, let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure that notification bell's on, because I've got a lot more coming down the pipe. Keep prepping, keep learning, keep doing. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Oh, I like that. All right, so what was that? So we definitely got to check him out. We'll definitely put a link to his channel in the comments so y'all can check him out. But good story, good information, and exactly what we've been talking about for a long time. So,
hey, if you're a gun owner who wants to shoot better,
so what we're talking about is that we're not ready or desire to be ready to live in a world that is completely EVs. We're not ready to give up our V8s and our trucks and our gas-powered vehicles, and we're just not going to do it, and it's not going to happen anytime soon. You know, y'all can continue to try to move us into a Jetson world, and we'll go along. We'll do what we have to do. We'll buy a hybrid here and there, but we're just not ready for these EVs. I'm not ready. Now mind you, I have said many times before that if BYD was over here, we could buy the BYD vehicles. I'd get one because I test drove a BYD truck. I loved it to death. It seemed it was more that it seemed like I was just driving my truck with a lot of fancy, super advanced technology. And it didn't feel like I was in a vehicle that was all EV. And that's the difference. If y'all want us to move into this world where we're all driving EV vehicles, then y'all gonna have to slow roll us. Y'all gonna have to still have these vehicles like the hybrids. And I talk about this all the time. We should have spent way more time getting the world used to hybrid vehicles before we just made this leap into the EV situation. We hadn't, unlike China, we hadn't set up a infrastructure to do such a thing. China has been working on it for quite some long time. They have been perfecting it for quite some long time. Now, even China hasn't made any desire or made any jump to just put EV vehicles on the road yet, because they've already did a lot of things that would try to mitigate pollution. And like old boy was saying, you know, y'all got these jets out here, y'all polluting the skies way more than we are with our cars. And in most cases, you know, I don't know about that. I do always say that the air in California is a lot cleaner than it is in other places that I live. And maybe it's because it's smog certification or, you know, all these clean air ideas. But don't make us gas powered vehicle drivers suffer because you want to continue to do advancement and make money off of the future of the technology of electric vehicles. We just chilling, man. Y'all want to give us a hybrid here and there? That's cool. Y'all want to move us to EVs slowly but surely? That's cool. But don't tell me I can't drive my gas-powered vehicle. That's all I'm saying. All right, I'm going to let y'all get up out of here. It's one of them days. Y'all be cool, man. Hit the like, share, subscribe button. And I'm out. Peace.